Have you been seeing FiberMaxxing everywhere? Because I feel like it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's actually so funny to me. I'm very rarely on like TikTok or Instagram, and these like trends come up, and I'm like, one day it's fiber, next day it's protein, one day it's like fats. It's just these trends are coming up so fast, I can't even like stick with them or keep up with them. But
Yeah,
yeah, most recently I've
for
seen
sure.
Vermexing all over.
Which is so funny too, because it's like, this is not a new recommendation. This is
Right.
literally what we have been talking about for decades. Like dietitians have been like, let's get fiber in. It's really great. And then you add like a sexy name to it. And then everyone's like, ooh, I could do
Right.
this is so trendy. Like I'm getting my fiber.
Literally.
But I have to
Rebrand.
say, like, exactly, which I'm not mad about because honestly, as far as trends go, like there's so many trends that I'm like, no, that is so bad for your gut health. And this one I can
Exactly.
get behind. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
into this. So yeah, so we'll talk about today kind of like what it is, how to make it really applicable and easy for your life because it's not really that overwhelming. You just have to take the baby steps. And I think with fiber, baby steps is key. And then I think we should talk about what happens when it doesn't go well, right? Like, how do you know if you just need to wait it out and keep trying the fiber or when you need to say, like, hold up, something's really wrong,
Full stop.
this
Yeah.
is not going well. And, we'll kind of talk through those things too. So, FiberMaxxing, if you're unfamiliar and you want to be in the in crowd here, it's really just getting 25 to 35 grams of fiber per day, which again has always been the recommendation. And it's not
Right.
just for gut health, right? It's like it's for heart health, it's for decreasing inflammation. Fiber binds things that your body doesn't need and excretes it from the body. So it's so far beyond gut health, but obviously gut health is what we nerd out about. And so that's obviously where this conversation will really be driven. But 25 to 35 grams per day is the goal. And honestly, I love that. Like I don't want clients to track, but tracking your fiber can be a really helpful tool to see like,
Yeah.
you might be thinking, I eat a salad every day. I'm sure I'm getting enough fiber. And then you look and you're
Yes.
like, holy smokes, this
Right?
salad has 3 grams of fiber.
I
Have you
know.
seen that with clients?
Yeah, I have. And I also think it's fascinating to see trends like this too, because so many people are extremely under eating fiber, like 10
Totally.
to 15 grams per day. So it's well warranted. And I think a lot of people do look at like a big salad and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm getting these like leafy greens throughout the day. And then they're surprised that they're actually missing the mark on fiber pretty dramatically. So this is nice. FiberMaxxing kind of brings up the other sources of fiber that people kind of sleep on, and which is also funny because trends like so anti-carb. There's so many trends that are so anti-carb, and having FiberMaxxing kind of come up and bridge the scene. It's kind of creating this conversation point where we actually need carbs, and you need carbs in order to hit these FiberMaxxing goals.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, so I'm glad you said it. We're just taking the words out of each other's mouths, but, like, the trend is anti-lectins and looking at anti-nutrients in foods, and that literally takes away fiber sources, and it's like, oh my gosh. So then when you look and you've cut out beans, and you've cut out nuts and seeds, and you've cut out grains, you actually cannot get enough fiber unless you're just downing berries all day long. It's just not gonna work. And so bringing the focus back to, "Oh, we're focusing on fiber, so these grains are gonna help me hit that goal. They're a positive." I'm like, "Hallelujah." What's the other trend? The Bieber trend right now, the Hallelujah song?
Yes,
That
yes, yes,
feels
yes.
yeah.
Carbs, hallelujah. Beans, hallelujah. Yes, finally.
Exactly, exactly. So
Literally.
but yeah, I think those are where a lot of those are found. So when we talk about fiber, there's a lot of different types, and honestly, even with our one-on-one clients, I'm not so focused on you have to have this many grams of soluble and that many grams of insoluble and this many grams of prebiotics. It's like, it's so easy to get caught in the weeds of like, okay, give me a number, give me a set goal. I'm going to get an A+ on this test. And it's
Right.
like, no, just focus on variety and focus on getting in a lot of different types. Because does each fiber type do something different? Yes. But do you need to panic about making sure that you're getting this amount of that and this amount of this? Not necessarily. And I think it's much more simple than people think that it is. So when we talk about soluble fiber, we're talking about honestly when people think of fiber, they're mostly usually thinking about soluble fiber containing foods, but they're thinking insoluble, I have found in
Yes.
clients.
Yeah.
Like they're like, this must be an insoluble. It's anyway.
Right.
But soluble fiber, when we talk about gut health benefits and specifically microbiome benefits, we are talking about the soluble fiber part of kind of a subcategory. So
The most
soluble fiber,
beneficial.
yeah, that's what those bacteria are fermenting, right?
Yes.
And when bacteria ferment the fiber, that's when we get all of the benefits of the fiber. And let me just back up, because the reason fiber is so beneficial for our gut bacteria is because we as humans cannot break down fiber. We don't have the capacity, we don't have the enzymes needed to actually break apart those kind of bits of food, is kind of a way to think about it. And so the bacteria, the reason they benefit is because bacteria is traveling all the way down, hitting the colon completely undigested. And that's where the bacteria is like, hallelujah, it's a buffet.
Right?
I can't
Yeah.
wait. And then they get to ferment it for us, which is the only way we as humans can break it down. It's like our little pet bacteria in our gut are doing the most. They're the ones doing the work. And
Right.
that's where the benefits come in.
The
You're
thing
good.
that you are pointing out right now is the exact reason why some crowds are like, you shouldn't be eating fiber. Like when we have like a keto forward diet or like a carnivore forward diet, and like the talking points for why like fibers are bad is because you can't digest them, like you can't break them down. So how could they be needed? Well, the millions and trillions of microbes in our gut, like that's food for them, and it's just as essential.
Yeah, I love that. And it is funny because you hear that argument a ton, right? Like, we can't break this down, so we shouldn't be eating it. And it's like, well, literally that is what our bacteria is for.
Right.
And the byproducts of the bacteria fermenting it do
Right.
so much for the gut. And we call them postbiotics, is the sexy term, because everything has to have a sexy term, right? Essentially, the way that I explain it to clients, it's not exactly the mechanism from a nerdy standpoint, but it's a good way to remember it, is bacteria are eating the fiber, and then what they're burping out are the postbiotics and things that are really beneficial for the gut. And again, is that
Yeah.
mechanistically how it works? No, but it's a good way to kind of think about it.
Yeah.
Like they're
Yeah.
eating, they burp, and then magic unicorns come out
Yeah.
of their little bodies.
I love that because my version of that analogy is them pooping out. And I think burping is like way more approachable than like thinking about microbes like pooping things out that we eat. So I love that. That's going to be a rebrand for the way that I teach it to my clients.
Yeah, perfect. They poop it out, they burp it out,
Hey,
whatever.
they're
It's all the
byproducts,
same.
you know? Yeah.
Exactly. So those byproducts are things called short chain fatty acids. And so
Yes.
short chain fatty acids are going to be butyrate, propionate, and acetate. Butyrate is like the queen of all queens. That is the one that is doing the most because butyrate is what fuels colonocytes. So the cells of the colon, 70% of their food is butyrate. And so if you aren't eating enough fiber, then the bacteria don't have those things to break down and they're not producing butyrate. And if that's what colonocytes need to function and stay healthy, well, then they're going to not be so healthy, right? They're going to get a little sickly. They're not going to work as optimally, which means maybe we don't have enough mucus production. We don't have those antimicrobial peptides being produced. And this is getting a little bit nerdy and in the weeds, but just to say, when your cells of the colon are not healthy, your gut
Yeah.
is not healthy. And so we can spend all this time talking about carnivore and blah, 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 but really we have to look at cellular health to
Right.
know,
Yeah.
did the cells even have what they need to repair and to function optimally and to kind of get ahead of all of those gut symptoms. And if you're not eating fiber, then you're not getting the butyrate production and the cells are not healthy. Full stop. Like full stop.
Which expands well beyond like the health of the gut. I mean, even when we're talking about some of the benefits that people like follow like keto and carnivore for, it's like a lot of times metabolic, and you need these robust cells in order to digest and break down your food and maintain an anti-inflammatory systemic environment and process and like eat up just like they're it impacts your health on a larger level beyond the health of the gut. And I think that those health outcomes are important for people who don't realize that it also stems from the gut and how the robustness and the health of your gut plays a big role in your metabolic health overall too. So they care, but they don't realize that they got to feed those gut microbes in order to get those benefits.
My 7-year-old came home the other day and she told me this statistic, and I have not fact checked her because she was so proud of herself. But she said she heard this from a show or a teacher, I don't know. But she said if you put all of the microbes on a scale, oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher this. I don't even remember it, versus like all the humans on a scale, like the microbes would outweigh us, like
Yeah,
as a world, the microbes would outweigh us by like, I can't even remember, like an astronomical amount. And
I believe
I
that.
totally butchered that, but she had a real number. I should get her on the show.
But it's the same as like I know people have probably
Yeah.
heard that like the microbes in your gut out count your human body cells. I think like what 10 to 1 or something. It's something crazy like that, which is a
Yeah.
similar analogy or
Yeah.
visualization.
Question. Yeah. The question then is like, are we more microbe or are we more human? And that's like my
Yes.
favorite question because I'm like, we're
Yeah.
actually more microbe. And so we have to
Exactly.
be paying attention to these things and feeding them what they need to stay healthy. So, yeah, that's a good point for sure. So, the soluble fiber piece, again, we talked about like the umbrella of fiber. We have soluble fiber and insoluble fiber, and there's subtypes of all of those things. But again, soluble fiber is what's doing the most in the gut. And then insoluble fiber is more of the what's called like roughage. And that's what adds bulk to your stool and helps kind of move things through. So when I have a client who struggles with what they call Cheeto poos, we've all heard of Cheeto poos. It's like those skinny little stools that are coming out.
Perfect
It
example.
can mean a couple different things, but sometimes I say, well, let's add some roughage. Let's bulk up the stool and see if we can get kind of a more robust stool. And the benefit of that, because Cheeto poops on its own are not a huge problem, but usually the clients also feel incomplete evacuation, which means they feel like there's still something in there. They feel like they're not getting it out. And sometimes it can just be the size of the stool, because if the size of the stool isn't robust, then the body doesn't feel like it really needs to rid anything out. It doesn't get those sensations. So if we can then bulk the stool, then you get the stretch receptors kind of registering in the colon, sending a signal to the brain saying, hey, let's run to the bathroom. We need to go. We got a lot in here,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So insoluble fiber can really be helpful with that. Soluble fiber is helpful as well, but in that specific scenario, that can be where insoluble fiber comes in too. Bacteria, not so much. They don't really do much with the insoluble fiber, but still a ton of benefits. And again, we don't want to get hung up on how much soluble versus insoluble, but it is important to get variety. And I actually have a fiber guide that outlines everything beautifully. There's a list of 100 foods and all of the fiber that it contains. So when we're looking at 25 to 35 grams per day, you can look at this list and maximize like, okay, what are my highest fiber options? Okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
add that to the grocery list. I'm going to make sure
Right.
I have one high fiber option every day. So things like berries, nuts, and seeds, like that gives you so much bang for your buck. Avocados. Most
Avocados.
clients have.
Yes. That's one of my favorite fiber facts. People
Yes.
do not think about fiber when they think of avocados, but it's a powerhouse for sure.
Total powerhouse. Yeah. So there's so many, again, using that guide, and I'll link to it below, but using that guide to just influence your grocery list, to influence your meal planning is so helpful. And you don't have to get so hung up on the numbers, but it is good to know where you're at. So tracking it for a couple days so you know, like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm getting 5
Yeah.
grams of fiber and I was
Right.
doing great. Just
Yeah.
having a baseline is so helpful in that regard for sure.
Yeah. And even like you said with the salad example, like it's a good experiment. That's kind of how I like to phrase it is like, what do you think that your salad is really high in fiber, but is it? And then what could you add? So I love pulling up that fiber guide and saying, okay, like what could we pick from each of these categories to kind of make your salad more interesting and also make it actually truly a higher fiber contributor to your day. So
Yeah. For sure. Do you have a favorite, like, go-to salad or, like, favorite add-ins on your salads?
Yeah, actually, so one of my favorite, this is like top tier salad additions, is actually cooked and cooled pasta. Pasta on a salad is like a game changer for flavor. Like it makes me way more excited to have a salad. I just get geeked out thinking about it because it just is so good. Who doesn't want to like just eat a bowl of pasta? So putting some like cooked and cooled pasta on my salad makes me way more excited to eat it. And also, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but that's actually a different type of fiber, which again, I think people sleep on the benefits of like cooked and cooled pastas or cooked and cooled potatoes and other starches. But that's also a type of fiber that you can unlock and really benefit your gut on a larger scale.
So what I had to shift, because I love a good salad, and I don't usually make them at home. I usually get them out
Right.
because I like all the
Yeah.
things that you
All
get
the
when you're at a
things.
restaurant.
Yeah.
So, but I think the game changer for me, even when I was making it at home, was we're so focused on as many greens as possible. Like, let's make this the biggest salad possible. And I started to
Right.
really scale back on the greens because they're great, but it's not really much of anything. Like, it's really not a good fiber contributor. So I started scaling back more on the greens part and then really maximizing fiber maxing, you might say. Everything that everything that goes on it. So
Yeah.
using leftovers, kind of like what you mentioned, if you have pasta in the fridge, like throw that on top. If you
Right.
have, maybe roasted vegetables from the meal before, throw that on top. Something that's really helpful in the beginning of the week too is to shred a beet, shred a carrot. So that's easy to throw
Ooh.
on.
Yeah.
Doing like easy marinated vegetables. So throwing like cauliflower and broccoli and cucumber in like a nice
Yeah.
vinegar. You got to add a little bit of sugar to make it like really flavorful, but that's okay.
That's
And
fine.
then you just have things to pull from. So then when you're making the
Yeah.
salad, you can just throw a little bit of this, throw a little bit of that, a little bit of this. And then the other thing that I throw onto salads and other foods is a blend of chia and flax and hemp hearts. So
Oh,
I know. So equal
that's a good
parts. So I
idea.
put like equal parts chia, equal parts ground flax, and then hemp hearts. And I keep them in like a little bowl in the fridge. And you can sprinkle that on
Nice.
everything. You can put it on
Yeah.
salads. You can put it on leftovers. You can put it on dinner,
Roasted
in soups,
veggies. Yeah.
yogurt bowls. Like you can throw it on
Oatmeal.
everything. And
Brilliant.
yeah. And you're getting a ton of fiber from the flax and the chia. And then the hemp hearts, not so much on the fiber front, but it's a little extra protein variety that you're getting into. So again, it doesn't have to be complicated, but adding more color makes you actually want the salad as well.
Right.
And then of
Yeah.
course, have your protein, put some chicken
Right.
on there, some tofu, but the fiber side, it
Fibers.
can it can be a great vehicle for
Right.
fiber.
Protein has had its moment. Now this is fiber's chance to shine.
I
And one
know.
of the things that I always tell, this is kind of a crossover actually, that I tell my clients to leverage on like a salad or a bowl is beans because they provide a little bit of plant-based protein, but they also are a huge fiber powerhouse. And beans are something that my clients will struggle with though. I almost always get pushback because beans make people gassy or their bellies are upset. That's the most common food that I hear people struggle with as far as fibers go.
What do you tell your clients, like, from the bean front? If they're like, "No, I'm too gassy," like, do you have a strategy for them?
I do. And I think it surprises people a lot of times because they automatically assume like, oh, okay, if I like have this reaction from beans, I guess I just shouldn't eat them. I'm like, no, girl, that's the opposite of what I want you to do. We need to incorporate those beans to help feed the gut microbes that eat those and continue to grow that population in your gut so that they have a better tolerance when you have those foods passing through the colon. So what I will tell clients is you need to like go super low with your dosage and very slowly increase so that you can build up those microbes that are eating those beans as your volume of food increases. So I go so small with this. I'll tell clients like one spoonful of beans, like literally a spoonful on a whole salad would be a starting place because a lot of times it'll be like a dosage. They can handle a little bit, but when they try and go like full send fiber maxing, they'll like see beans are a huge fiber contributor. put a bunch on there and then they feel horribly. So we have to go super low with the amount and increase slowly over time.
Yeah, and I do that same thing with my clients. I call it microbiome training because you have to like slowly introduce, see, sexy term,
Oh, I love it. I love it.
rebrand.
It rebrands, literally.
So adding a little bit, it's like exactly like what you said. If you have populations in your gut that are really great at breaking it down, but you haven't been feeding them the food, they're not going to be a really robust population. So starting slow and letting them understand like, oh, it's not a famine
Yeah.
anymore. Let's reproduce. Let's grow a
Right.
family.
Party.
And
Yes.
then
Yeah.
you increase your ability to break it down and to be able to
Yes.
tolerate it as
Yeah.
well. Beans are great. Black beans, you got an increase in polyphenols as well, which is great for the gut, great for inflammation. But it's just getting to that point of tolerance for sure. I want to go back to what you said about cooking and cooling pasta or like cooled pasta. Do you want to speak to like that subset of fiber and kind of what that is and what it does?
Yeah. So this whole category of like cooked and cooled starches, it's potatoes, pastas, rice. Those are kind of the big ones that I think of. Is resistant starches. So it's actually like a really interesting science, and you'd probably explain it better than I would. But basically, when you cook them initially and then you cool them down to put them in the fridge to have tomorrow to make like fried rice or to put on a salad or something, those starches restructure themselves, like reorganize, and they turn into this resistant form of starch that, again, we can't digest, but our gut microbes are like, hey, super excited to see those come through the colon because if we think back to what you'd said earlier too about butyrate, these resistant type starches feed the microbes that are more like that are better known to produce butyrate as a byproduct. So they are really great for feeding what we call butyrate producing microbes.
Back to
Right.
the burping thing. The bacteria are going to
Yes.
burp
Yeah.
more
Yes. Yes. Full circle.
with the resistant starch
Yeah.
versus another type of fiber. Now, the other types of soluble fiber are great, but resistant starch
Right.
just gives you that edge. And who doesn't want to
Yes.
eat like a cold potato salad or a pasta
Right.
salad? Like it's so
Literally.
easy to incorporate. And I actually find that clients tolerate that best. So if I have a client who is can't tolerate any fiber, they've cut so many things out, but we need to restore that gut bacteria and we have to start somewhere. Resistant starch is such a great place because usually they can tolerate potatoes.
Right.
Usually they can tolerate pasta. Now, some will swear up and down that they're gluten intolerant, which is a topic for another day. But those are a good place to start if you feel like you're super reactive to fiber in general or to vegetables. It's a really great place to kind of get that in. The fiber guide that again you guys can grab below, it has how to create resistant starch in food. So like what types of foods can you turn into higher resistant starch, has instructions for that. And then prebiotic containing foods we haven't quite talked about, but it's another kind of subcategory. And again, prebiotic foods are going to give you the most bang for your buck when it comes to optimizing your microbiome. With prebiotic fiber, when you look at the foods that contain prebiotic fiber, so like artichoke hearts, they're not particularly a high fiber food. It's kind of misleading because it's high in prebiotic fiber, but it's not high in general in fiber. Again, think bang for your buck. You just need a
Right.
small amount, and it really goes a long way. So just incorporating those can be really helpful. One thing about resistant starch that I was going to mention is this is the reason when you have leftover potatoes that you're like, huh, that texture is weird. Like when you have a leftover
Yeah.
potato,
Yeah.
it is never the same. Like it's a
Right.
little bit just different. It's because
Different.
it has increased in resistant starch, which by the way is also great for blood sugar. So if you also have blood sugar issues and maybe you're diabetic, you're pre-diabetic, or you feel like you have really high blood sugar swings, increasing resistant starch actually helps the stability of your blood sugar in a food that would have normally been higher. Maybe fresh potatoes send your blood sugar a little bit high. Resistant starch, if you cook and cool it, helps blunt that response and you don't get as high of a spike, which is like an extra fun bonus for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I think it helps to rebrand some of the fear that we see around these carb containing foods. Like they can be beneficial. They are beneficial in general, but they can be especially beneficial for people even with metabolic concerns. The only other like resistant starch like fun fact that I like to point out to people too is green versus yellow bananas. This is like a big topic of debate with my clients is like, you're either somebody who is open to an unripe banana or you're like, it's got to have spots or no spots at all. But if there's some wiggle room to incorporate some more of that like green or unripe banana, this is another specific type of fiber that is higher in that resistant starch. And you can really taste that difference when you have like a green banana versus one with like spots or even yellow. The sweetness is so drastically different. And even that like mouth feel can sometimes be hard sell for people, but that's resistant starch. You got to think bigger picture.
I'm one of those people who like bananas once every like 3 years. I'm like, you know what sounds good? A banana. And then I eat a banana and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I'm good for another 3 years. Something about it, it like gives me the ick. I don't know if
Yeah,
anyone else
really?
is like that, but it gives me the ick so
Yeah.
fast. It would have to
No.
be like the most
Yeah.
perfect banana. But if it's
Yeah.
too ripe, I'm like, "Ugh."
That's what I mean. Yeah. And I used to be like that. Like bananas are a new food on my like, where I am in life. But yeah, they can be a tough sell, but if you like bananas, green
Yes.
bananas are definitely one. And I'll tell people to like think about a different way to use them, like thinly sliced green bananas on like peanut butter toast or something like that, so that you don't have to eat a whole mouthful of banana if like you're not really like a banana girly, but you want to take advantage of benefits.
Yeah, because they're so affordable. And I'm like,
Right.
I should be a banana person, but no one in my house is a banana person either. So
That
every
makes it
once in a while,
hard.
I'll like buy a couple and see if anyone will touch
Yeah.
them. And we
Social
turn it into
experiment.
banana bread.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's like,
literally.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not going to get eaten.
Which
Yeah,
it's fine. It's fine.
absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about types of fiber. We've talked about how to incorporate it. Again, Fiber Guide will help you out. It's totally for free. Just a way to kind of help get all of your information in one spot. So now we have to talk about the people who are like, yeah, cool. The second I touch fiber, I am insanely bloated. I can't tolerate any of it. I've had to pull all of the fiber foods out and I can't add any back in because there is a population, and it's our clients, right, who
It's probably so.
have cut out all of the foods because they can't tolerate it. And it doesn't matter if you are in that boat and you actually cannot tolerate fiber and you try to FiberMax, it is going to make your problems 10 times worse. Not problems, but your symptoms 10 times worse. And so, do you want to talk about like kind of what can be going on, like what things you see that contribute to that? Like when people actually they're doing it the slow way, just like they're doing 1 tablespoon of beans on their salad, they're working up and they just cannot do any of it. What do you see contributing to that?
Yeah, I think so. Most commonly, it'll come back to some sort of microbial imbalance. And that could be something more like colon derived, where we see the vast majority of those microbes living is we've got this imbalance of our good gut microbes that are notorious for gobbling up these good fibers. And we have less of those good guys, less of those butyrate producers, and more of the bad guys, for lack of a better word, bacteria kind of being more prominent. So that like just general gut dysbiosis is one thing that I'll see. And then there's also a subset of people, and this is specific to like some of those fermentable fibers when people are like, "Oh, I can only survive on like a low FODMAP diet. I've tried to add in some of these like good fibers and I can't tolerate them." That's a lot of times where I'll see more like a SIBO driven picture where we've got more of those microbes, which again, we want more microbes, but we don't want them in the small intestine where they have an opportunity to really ferment and eat up those fibers in a place that's not designed to deal with that gas as a byproduct.
And that's the problem. It's not, and that's when I say, like, I'm notorious on Instagram for saying the food is not the problem. Your food sensitivities aren't real. And I don't mean your symptoms aren't real. I mean, the food sensitivity is a symptom. It's not a root cause. So eliminating the food, it's the exact reason, like what you said, where people are on low FODMAP diets for so long and they can't reintroduce. And it's because they have let this problem, this underlying issue just fester, and it's getting worse and worse while they're continuing to eliminate another food and another food. And the elimination process also leads to deficiencies, which makes it harder to heal in general because your body doesn't have what it needs. Then we see hormone disruptions, energy issues, skin issues, thyroid concerns. I mean, all of these
Fatigue.
downstream
Yeah.
effects. Yeah. From when it should have never been a food elimination as a recommendation, which is what a
Right.
lot of MDs recommend. And it's what a lot of, mostly I see it coming from functional providers, honestly. It's like a food elimination diet is step number one if you have gut issues. And when clients come to us, we don't have them restrict anything. No, we're going to actually fix the problem so that you can
Right.
tolerate all of the foods, which then will make you metabolically healthy because you might be in a spot right now that you're like, I know I need to lose weight or I want to lose weight to feel better about myself, but I can't tolerate the foods that I need that are healthy. So it's back to goldfish and crackers for me. That's
Right.
what I can
Yeah.
tolerate. And so you can't be metabolically healthy in living in this space of SIBO or dysbiosis or these severe gut things that need to be cleared up. The SIBO picture, I think, is what we see just a ton of, probably because that's what I talk about a ton on Instagram because that's what I had. So it's just kind of naturally who we tend to get is that really bloated client who has seen multiple practitioners. Nobody has
Right.
helped. They're on this restrictive diet. They have 20 safe foods and they're eliminating more and more. And it's a scary place to be when your food world is shrinking. And it's like, okay, what in 10 years am I only going to be able to tolerate one food? Like, what does that look
Right.
like? And
Right.
the food is not the issue. The food is the signal, right? So if you have, we'll go on like that SIBO picture. So that small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. It's where there is an excess of bacteria in the small intestine, which is the part right after your stomach and before your colon. So those tissues, that area was never designed to have an excess of bacteria, which means it was never designed when there's that excess of bacteria, there's excess fermentation, there's excess burping from the bacteria. I'm doing that in quotes. So there's more gas production. Well, when that happens, because the small intestine is not meant to stretch that far, the brain senses that as this hurts so bad. This is so painful. You need to lay down. Something's really wrong. And it's a really hard place to be, but that's often where that pain and discomfort comes from because that tissue is not designed to stretch like that. And again, it's not a food problem. It's that the food is getting to bacteria that are fermenting it. Well, the bacteria needs to be in the colon
Right.
to
That wrong
ferment,
place.
not in the small
Right.
intestine. So it's one of those things too that is really sad because a lot of SIBO cases are completely dismissed by traditional medicine. It's missed. People aren't taken seriously, especially like a lot of our clients are, some of them are underweight. A lot of them are a normal
Yeah.
weight and their doctor says, but you look great when they complain
Right.
about bloating.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's not the issue. The issue isn't how I'm looking in a swimsuit. It's how I'm feeling every day.
Right.
And that's a hard place to be, to feel like you're being dismissed and nobody understands what's happening because I also see a lot of doctors running a SIBO test, but they ran a glucose substrate where you run the risk of a lot of false negatives. And then because of a test that wasn't totally accurate in the beginning, now nobody thinks it's SIBO. And then they come to us and
Mhm.
it's like, girl, you're textbook SIBO.
Right. Right.
Textbook.
Right.
And then we go through the treatment and then they feel better. And it's because of an inaccurate test that people put too much stock into.
Yeah. Or the alternative situation where they are diagnosed, you go the traditional route and it comes back. I mean, that's something that I see all the time is this recurrent SIBO pattern because it takes like this whole conversation is about incorporating fibers and working on the overall health of your gut. It's not just enough to just like bomb those microbes that are in the wrong place. We have to be thinking like bigger picture in order for you to really tolerate and create a robust gut environment so that you can eat all of the things and not have to worry about these things coming back over and over again.
Yeah, the recurrence rate in SIBO is astronomical. Not for
So
our
high.
clients, so
Right. Right.
but for people that come to us, because again, I have a client right now who has had it cyclically for about a decade, comes
Right.
back, test positive even, test
Yes.
positive,
Exactly.
pharmaceutical, test
Yep.
positive, go sees a naturopath, test
Yeah.
positive, and it's like there's
It's
so many things
documented.
and it's yeah, and it's it goes back to people are always looking, practitioners are always looking for what can I kill? I'm going to test something, whatever is high, I'm going to kill it off. And we go deeper in asking, how was that allowed to overgrow in the first place? What was going on? Is it a motility issue? Is it a stomach acid issue? If it is a motility issue, meaning how quickly or slowly things are moving through the gut, why? Like we're always like, okay, but why? Okay, so this. All right, but why? Well, it's this. Okay, but why? And it's like trying
Right.
to get to that
Literally.
initial why. Because if you can address that, you've addressed the way that I described this is we're looking for the first domino to fall that's causing all of the rest to fall. Because if we can keep that first domino from falling, then everything improves. That includes
Right.
food sensitivities. You can tolerate
Yeah.
fiber. You can finally start losing weight because you're not inflamed and you can tolerate better for you foods. You have energy, skin clears up, libido comes back, periods are
Yeah.
beautiful. All of those
Right.
things are a downstream effect of that first domino. And I think really truly that's what sets what we do apart from so many other practices is we are looking for the first domino instead of covering up every symptom, instead of looking at every domino that has fallen as in a symptom and saying, okay, that domino fell, let's do that for this. This domino fell, let's do that supplement for this. It's like that's what functional medicine has become, and it is so sad. It's making me want to not call myself functional because it's not how
Right.
it was intended to be, but it's the only way to healing, to true healing.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten to a place where, and we'll see, like to your point, we've seen clients who come from all of these different practitioners, and then you start to wonder, like, am I ever going to find someone that can help me? That like doom and gloom, kind of like, am I going to be like to your point, is 3 foods, 5 foods going to be the only thing that I'm going to be able to eat for the rest of my life? And like, that's not what we want for you. So there is a way out, but it does take a more like bigger picture approach. And I think bringing it back to like FiberMaxxing and like that overall goal is we do want you to be able to tolerate these like super diverse, beautiful fibers and have this really robust diet that's rich in these colors and different fiber varieties. But if you're not tolerating those and if you've tried them and you're getting these wonky symptoms and you're doing all the things, then it's time to start asking that why, like what's going on, because you should be able to eat these foods. I think safety is something that I talk to a lot of my clients about. Like foods are inherently safe things to put in your body. Like it's not like, oh, I just can't eat these things, I must not be able to tolerate them. No, you should be able to tolerate them. Diversity is the goal. If you are not, then we need to be asking why. And it's not just like, I have an intolerance, I can't eat these things. Like, no, there's a deeper issue. And that's exactly what we are trying to do is kind of dig and dig and dig for our clients to figure out what that deeper why is.
Exactly. I think that's a good place to kind of leave it and just to kind of wrap things up here. So if you are like, yes, FiberMaxxing, I want to do it. I have no idea where to start. Please grab the guide. Again, it is below. And then also if you are in the other side towards the end of the conversation and you were like, that's me. I can't
Right?
tolerate any foods and my
Yeah.
list of foods is shrinking. I will link to our website as well so you can see a little bit about how we operate. I'm very big about fit. So read through it. And if it feels like, man, that's exactly how I operate. That's exactly what I think about gut health. Like, let's do it. Let's set up a free 30-minute call, see if we're a good fit, and then we'll get you feeling better so you can tolerate the fiber so you can have a happy life again. Happy
Yeah.
fiber,
And
happy
all the
life.
things. Literally. Yes, exactly. It all starts in the gut. It's true. So
All right, Olivia. Well, thanks for nerding out about FiberMaxxing and all
yeah.
of the rebrands. And until
Yeah.
next time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Bye.